Hello, good afternoon. I'm not sure what's happening with my script. Oh, yes, I see. Song has no volume. Thank you so much. But can you hear me? Because I feel there's something wrong with my computer. Please just let me know if you can hear me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me on this Friday live. Can you hear me, Regina? Thank you. Can I be heard? Oh, thank you so much. I don't know why the music had no volume, and it had volume when I played it accidentally before. I played it accidentally before I started the live, and it played, and all of a sudden the music has gone. But let's just go on. Thank you so much for joining me on another Friday live. I love being here on a Friday. Looking forward, always counting down to 12 o'clock. Thank you for joining me, 12 o'clock UK time. How was your New Year? How was your Christmas? Did you guys have a loud, not loud time, because I said loud and very clear. But did you guys have a great Christmas and New Year? You know what I love about my holiday, my own holiday? I slept. Yes, I slept. I rested. Let me not use the word slept. I slept. And without guilt, without feeling like, I needed to explain why I needed to rest with anybody. I just, that time, that downtime, that ability to, have that downtime without guilt. Oh, it was lovely. Thankful for rest periods. I'm thankful for, holidays. I'm thankful for Christmas, New Year. No unnecessary 100 miles an hour in the kitchen. You do what you can do. Everybody's, happy. But thank you so much once again. My name is Debbie Echo. I'm the founder of Your Discovery Coach, and I love, love, love what I do. Now let's go to today's topic. I said today I didn't really have any topic. I wanted to just come here and share for the next 30 minutes why I do what I do and why invisibility matters to me. So some time ago, about 2 years ago, I was talking to a woman and she was in her 60s. I know I've told that story so many times, but I just love to tell that story. And she was in her 60s and she was, literally crying. And she said she didn't know what she had done with her life. She'd been the good mom, she'd been the good wife. She as the work that she does, professionally, she actually helps women who are in abusive homes and things like that. But she was really very unfulfilled. She said, the kids had gone out of the house, they had started having their own lives, they started having their own children. I don't know what the situation with her spouse, but she never brought up her spouse in this conversation. But she felt so lost. She was 63 and she said, what hit me most was that, I had worked for the same company for 35 years. And when I hit my 60s, they told me they had to let me go. They needed fresh blood. They needed, newer hands. And for her, it was really painful. Really, really painful. She was crying. She wanted to start her own business, but she was feeling very rusty, very old, and very, just not she wasn't feeling like I can do this. She was very doubtful, didn't know how to use Facebook, didn't know how to use the internet the way the Gen Zers would know how to. So feeling very intimidated by all the pomp and the glamour that comes with being, tech savvy. And she was broken. And she had this conversation with me. She turned it, in fact, when she was talking to me, she had so much experience in life. And I told her that, Ma, you can actually use this thing and build yourself something with this. But when she was talking to me, she turned and she said, Debbie, don't allow this to be your story. She thought I was 25, by the way, or 30. I can't remember. But she was like, now that you're in your 30s, I think she thought I was 30. She's like, now you're in your 30s. This is the time to aggressively push your life forward. And I laughed and I said, oh, ma'am, I'm 45. And she was like, oh, okay, you don't look it. But still be aggressive and selfish about your life. I can't forget that conversation. That conversation was supposed to be me coaching, because I was doing a coaching I was doing my coaching practice, and you didn't know who was going to come up next to your screen. And I was really, 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 really taken aback. For me, that was something that, no, that shouldn't be anyone's story. She said when she goes to her children, they tell her, Mommy, please, we didn't choose this life for you, we have our own life. She wants to be part of their lives, but they have full lives, and being the UK, I don't really send you like that, but trying to belong. She said something. She said, I'm fat, I'm ugly. And I was just looking at her. I nearly burst out laughing, but it was a very sorrowful topic. Now, this is just one of many. One of many. A lot of times, we as women were building lives around every other thing apart from what it is that we were created to do. Am I saying that being a mom is not a good thing? No, being a mom is the greatest blessing I have ever had. I'm not here to say whether this is right or this is right, being a working mom or not a working mom. No, that's not the point. Because I'm even talking about a woman who was working. I'm not even talking about a woman who wasn't working. She had to work. She was like, oh, I'm nearly 70. Next couple of years, I'll be 70 and I'm still paying mortgage and I'm doing this all alone. So you could see the stress. And it's not the stress because she didn't have a career, she didn't have a job, or she had only kids. It wasn't the stress that came from it. And I see it over and over again. There was one time I jumped on the thread. I stumbled on the thread. I didn't jump on it. I stumbled on the thread on Instagram, and people in their 50s, 60s, nearly 70s, they had said, hello, Esther. They had said things like, I was that woman when if somebody needed to go to the airport, I'm available. If somebody needed to go to the market, I'm available. I was available for everything minus myself. And it's a narrative that, I feel so strongly that we take it from our childhood. We take it from our childhood. We take it from the narratives that were handed over to us, that were the carers, were the nurturers. So you see a situation where, and this is not belittling situations, this is not trying to not understand situations, this is just talking to us as women. You see a situation where we are not really grounded in the career that we have chosen, because we have to keep changing locations multiple times because our partner's career is more important or is more stable. We tend not to be able to build anything except it is around our spouses, our children, and then we're not building anything that when they leave the house, what becomes of you? What's your story when you hit those years where you're literally alone, or everyone has gone, all your excuses have gone. And that's why this work is very important to me. I didn't come here with a topic today. What I came here was with something that just been sitting heavy in my heart. You see, the narrative doesn't start when you're 16. It starts, much younger. But there's a tendency that, people, just kind of, oh, there's time. I will do this when the kids are, I will do that when the kids leave the house. I will, there's this narrative of put yourself last. Put yourself last. Be the servant, be the one that everybody has to be all right, minus you. And that narrative actually keeps us in cycles that, or in patterns that at the end of the day, you become resentful, you become sorrowful, you don't understand what it is about your life that you have done with it apart from build other people. And it's also been sitting on my heart because even recently, a lot of people, come to your DM, they message you, they talk to you, they say things like, they're not very dramatic conversations, really. They're just normal chats. Just somehow someone tells you something and the next person that's telling you that same thing, you end up in the same place. So it's something like, oh, I don't even know what's wrong with me. My life is fine, but I feel empty. I shouldn't even be complaining. You see that line, I shouldn't even be complaining. Let's stop there. The reason they tell you that you shouldn't even be complaining is that, oh, other people have it worse. Oh, you have this, you have that. I had a particular time in my life where people would say things to you like, oh, your husband lives abroad, you should not be complaining. Oh, you're in the UK, you should not be complaining. I don't see why, that should be a conversation we should have. I'm in the abroad, I have this and I have that. Does not mean that I want less for my life. Abroad is not a goalpost. It's not because I am there now, then I have everything that I want. So I get it when people say stay grateful, but I also don't get it when they try and minimize your desire to grow in your life, because there's a desire to grow. You know that gnawing desire in your heart that I need to grow. I need to be more than where I am. But that thing about how we were cultured tells us that, oh, no, 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 no. Just be grateful. You have a husband that provides. You have a husband that does everything. You have, be grateful for bare minimum per se. Because when a woman says that she shouldn't complain, it usually means she's carrying too much alone. So that I don't even want to be seen as complaining. No, comes across as, oh, let it not be as if. But that person saying that thing knows how much she's carrying, knows how much, how much she's bearing alone, knows how much silence, how much her voice, her talents, her dreams are being silenced. But because you don't want to come across as I am the complaining one, then you tell yourself I shouldn't complain. That sentence alone tells you how much that woman is carrying. And there are also women, and these are not women who are failing. Let's make that clear. So we're not talking about, oh, they failed in this or they're failing in that. No, they're not. We're not talking about women who are failing. They're talking about women who are doing everything. They are home managers. If they go to work, they try and balance work with the home. There's something about them that tells you that they are doing well because they are functioning. Sometimes I beg to say, even over functioning. They are working, they are running homes, they are holding families together, and then they are the strong ones. So there's something that tells you that, oh, okay, this person is really, really thriving. But when they come to talk to you heart to heart, you can hear the desires, you can hear the pain behind that over functioning. You can hear the invisibility over that over functioning. Outside of their home and outside of work, it doesn't seem like they matter. Even inside these categories, there's still this sense of I am just the one who keeps things running. But am I really heard? Am I really heard in this in these situations? Am I really heard in these places? And we're not even talking about women who are abused, or I'm not talking about people who have big crises. Just talking about daily normal people who feel invisible in their own lives, who feel like they are managing everything, but when it comes to their dreams, their visions, what they want for life, they are submerged. They are invisible. They can't carry it. They can't carry every other thing and carry that. So they silently fizzle out. And then the years go by, the months go by, the days go by. And then when they realize that time has gone, they ask themselves one profound question: what have I done with my life? Is this why I was born? Is this the reason for which, I did? Some people even say things like, after all my masters, after all my PhD, after all I have, read, this is all I am reduced to. It's that invisibility narrative that it's something that I care so much about. It may seem it's just because I've heard other people's stories, but even in my own life, I had to do that pause. I had to do that pause, and I had to, do that pause, and I had to realize that it's not just about what women were saying around me. It's not about what, stories that are bound, but even in my own life, not in a very dramatic way, I started to realize that I was also getting invisible in my own story. Right. Is that thing that happens when every other thing matters. But when I look at your schedule, when I look at how you live your life, and I look at your 4 a.m. when you wake up, you're waking up not because you need to do one or two creative work for yourself. You're waking up because you need to set the day for every other person to be all right before you step out. It's that silence invisibility. You eat last. You do the things that, there's just this thing about, it's about the kids, it's about the husband. It's not necessarily about you, that nurturer. And it has a lot to do with how we were brought up as women, and how we're brought up as women. When you keep saying things like, it's not that deep, I just need to keep being patient. You keep telling yourself that I just need to be a little bit more understanding, and then you find out that there's so much resentment because there's no growth for your own side. I also took on this work because I also realized that the traditional coaching setup isn't necessarily made for women. Hear me out. The setup that tells you, especially moms, the setup that tells you that, set smart goals, be productive, do more. That thing that you feel like, you need to keep making more goals, smart goals, realistic, measurable, this, that. But I feel, I started to see how there's a hole in that, because you're talking to women who, the architect of their life, especially mothers, are full of interruptions. You're on your way to work, you've just dropped off your kid at school. 30 minutes later, you get a call and they say, come on, she's having a fever. She has to, her temperature is 39 degrees. You need to come and take her home. Your whole day is interrupted. So we're talking about the smart goals, right? We're also talking about the interruption. So that's why I decided, when I started this coaching, we're not doing traditional coaching. I'm not here to tell you I'm pushing you to do more. I'm pushing you to be productive. I'm pushing you to, that whole push, focus, blocks and focus of time. Yes, I get it. But you know how our attentions as mothers are in a full day? It can be split. 1 minute you're fine, you're doing deep work. The next minute is the school is calling you to come and pick up your child because something has happened, or a hospital appointment, or something has gone wrong. And that's why, I decided, it's not that I don't understand, smart goals and all that, but I also think that you need to start with your own story, your own patterns. Start with, why do you do the things the way you do? What are the subconscious scripts that are running your life? And if you join my program, you will find out that I start my program with telling you what is your own story, because in your story you find what it is that stops you as a woman, the things that you have been living by, the things that you have been, the things that you've been living in, the scripts that you've been living by that runs your life. So it's not about pushing more. It's about coming home to yourself. It's not about push, do more, do more, do more. It's understanding your own architecture as a person, as a woman. And I was reading something a couple of weeks ago. It's a book called The Good Girls Don't Get the Office, that won't get the corner office. So it's not even something I'm talking about, stay-at-home moms. It's not something I'm talking about stay-at-home moms, or even with working moms. There's this thing that you see, in an office. There's this thing. There's this. First of all, let me talk about the idea. The idea is that good girls wait, good girls don't interrupt, good girls don't ask too directly. So you heard things like, just you need to be quiet, you need to hush it up. you know good girls assume someone else will notice them, but no one does. So instead of being visible, there's this inner narrative that speaks to us, that tells us that you need to be reliable, not visible. You need to tone it down, you need to keep that thing down. So instead of being heard, you become helpful. We become helpful as women. So even, and it's not just it doesn't just happen in offices. It happens in homes, in marriages, in churches, in friendships. It's different settings but the same script. Because when you look at your story, I can actually see where your over functioning started. We can see the narratives that have been running your life quietly. You can see why, even though you keep pushing harder and doing more, you still don't feel fulfilled, because there's a story that runs your life. There's a script. I call it a series of short stories that run your life. So when you don't deal with these things, when you don't deal with those scripts that have been running your life, you can set all the smart goals. You can have all the productivity tools. But when you don't set these stories right, you continue to run in cycles that the patterns that keep repeating, and you're not going anywhere. And time is going. The time does not wait because you haven't gotten it right. It still ticks whether or not it's ticking, whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. So understanding your story, understanding the genesis of the things that have happened to you, of the scripts that have been handed to you, is a very more practical way of moving your life forward than, just setting smart goals. Yes, when you finish, when you realize your patterns, when you start to see, the things that keep you stuck, the things that keep you invisible, then you can start to set smart goals. And that's why I am very, very passionate about this. Because sometimes you go, there are coaching programs, and then they tell you smart goals, but you don't even understand why. Okay, it's already January 21st. It's already January 2nd, sorry, 2006. And you're already setting goals, but you don't understand why by February those goals have collapsed. Those goals have collapsed because there's a pattern. And when the pattern is not dealt with first, then you don't understand how it is to move your goals forward. I want you to also see, even in office settings, how quickly we are quick to deflect. We are quick to often minimize what we feel. So you hear things like, "Oh, I'm fine." Is it really fine? That deflection, let's just stay at the back. Let's just fade. It's the same pattern, whether it's in the office, whether it's in the school, whether it's in the home. There's this thing that says just keep minimizing yourself, minimize your dream, turn down the volume of your dream because you have other things that you need to do. And then if we don't slow down enough to see these patterns and to see these stories for what they really are, we keep trying to fix the wrong thing. We keep trying to fix the wrong thing. Invisibility is not something that just happened. There's a story that was handed. There's a pattern that was handed. There's a subconscious that we live by. So when people even say things like, you stand up and, take the stage, you're like, "Oh, that's not for me. That's not for me." You're not happy to come into limelight per se. I'm just using that as an example. And that's why I don't start with strategies. That's why I start with your story. That's why that's the reason I do this work, is because I know what it feels like to be strong for too long. I know what it feels like to be invisible in your own life. Last year, I gave a story of a friend of mine who, an acquaintance of mine who, for some reason, you're giving your time, especially because I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. You're giving your time. And at the end of the day, the disrespect. And I'm asking myself, where did I get to this level that this person could talk me down the way they did? It's just a sign of invisibility. It's just a sign that in my own life, I had disappeared. So I understand. I understand what it means to just feel like you have everything, you have everything held together, but you are slowly disappearing while you're doing it. And I believe we are meant to feel present. We are meant to feel alive. We are meant to be seen. When you live below your capacity, when you live below the potential that God has given to you, when you live below what it is that you were born for, there's this sense of lack of fulfillment that usually transcends into resentment. You start to resent your spouse. Some people even start to resent their children. Some people even start. I've heard a mom say, "If not because of you guys." What does that statement mean? We've also talked here that invisibility also sets you to become a kind of, like a very, very unlikely example to your children. It was Maya Angelou who said, "When you rise, you give other women the permission to rise. You give your children the permission to rise." So it's not just about you. It's not just about, "Oh, okay, I'm comfortable where I am." But when women stay in this invisibility narrative as a collective, as a whole, why are they not taking us seriously? Why are we not rising? Why are we not leaders? Why are there more men leaders, male leaders than female leaders? This is not an argument, right? But this is because there's just something about that narrative that keeps us in the background. So this year, I'm not interested in helping women to cope better. No, that's not what I'm interested in doing. I'm not just interested in helping women to cope better. Beyond coping, beyond I'm feeling fine, I'm not feeling fine. How can we thrive? How can we build women who thrive? How can we build women who, despite what it is that is going on in their life, despite what narratives that are around them, they can move beyond those narratives and begin to take space where they were meant to take space in offices, to take spaces in their homes, to take spaces and become all that it is that they were meant to be. So I'm not here because I just want to give you coping strategies. I'm not here because I just want to give you strategies for productivity. I'm not here because I want to give you strategies for managing your home better. That's not why we are here. We're here because we want to see that woman rise. Woman arise. I want to see that woman rise. Your voice, you can hear, you have your voice back. You're not just bearing children, you are also nurturing yourself as you nurture them, because your loudest testimony, your loudest instruction to your child is the life that you become yourself. That's the loudest instruction to your child. So you can tell your child to be more, but when they are not seeing you as a woman become more, then they would live in the version that it is that you live. You can't raise a lion, cannot raise a goat. And that's why we are passionate about this work. That's why I've come here on the first Friday of 2026 to reiterate why I started what I started. Because it's easy to just say, oh, it doesn't really matter, until you see your children, even in this generation where children are more, more exposed, more prone to danger than we were in our own time, right? We didn't have internet bullies. But you can, if you don't rise and then become, you see that child that you say that you're nurturing, your own rising is the best nurturing that you can give to that child, because she's going to meet bullies, she's going to meet people who would stand against her. And it's the voice that you give her that will help her to stand in this 21st century, to push back what it is that the world will want to force on her. Because nowadays it's not even about, it's not even about right or wrong. There are narratives, there are narratives, there are agendas that are being pushed so strongly that when you are quiet, it feels like they will drown you. So we need to be doing better to bring up children that can't be drowned in this 26th century. We need to be doing better to show them that we are more. In your PTA meetings, in your PCSA meetings, in wherever you go, in the church, whatever you stand to do, may your children see you rise and take up leadership. Because it's not a thing of, it's not a thing, it's a comfort thing to just want to sit in the back and allow everybody to do everything for you. It's very comfortable to allow your husband do everything, to allow children do everything, to just be on the furniture. It's very comfortable. But I dare say that today I'm challenging us to remove that comfort, to remove ourselves from that comfort, to remove ourselves from that place where we are so comfortable and we're not doing the work. We're not doing, you see, there's so much that has been handed down to us, but there's a work that you can do to remove yourself from that narrative, those series of short stories that keep you down. So I'm just here to tell you once again that I'm interested in helping women to come back to themselves. If it's something that you've been longing for quietly, now you're in the right space. If you have asked yourself countless times, what am I doing with my life? Am I just here for the kids? Am I just here for other people? If you have asked yourself, what am I doing with, what am I just occupying space? Am I matter? Am I just occupying space? I want you to ask yourself that question. Ask yourself that question and know that you have come to the right place. It's not a place where we will judge you. It's not a place where we would, we don't believe in judgment. We don't believe in judgment. We're not judging anyone. We're here to rise together. We're here to see you grow strong. We're here to see you, stretch beyond what it is that you are right now, because there's so much in you. Hey, mamas, I keep saying it, let's start living, because there's so much in you. There's so much that, if you stretch yourself just a little more, you will find the gold that is inside of you. You are worth more than you think you are. And I want you to come into this space and find yourself a seat, because we're here for a long ride. Thank you so much for sharing this moment with me. I said I was going to make it a 30 minutes 30 minutes live, and this is 30 minutes. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sitting with me, and do have an amazing day.